Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And I am super, super excited today. This has been a long time in the coming. We have the amazing Robert Stuberg in the house. How are you doing, Robert?
I'm doing really good. I don't know about that introduction. I'm going to have to get your people here to lower their expectations.
Oh, man, no, we have not even gotten started. It is taken a while to get together, and I know that for many of our listeners, they're familiar with you because I've mentioned some of your teachings and trainings, and they've been able to help a lot of people over the last little while, the couple years we've had the podcast going. But for those of you that don't know, Robert on this call, I want to go ahead and give him a quick introduction. So Robert's an entrepreneur, author, speaker, consultant, life coach. He's written and recorded numerous books and audios, including, the 12 Life Secrets, Creating Your Ultimate Destiny, and 12 Wealth Secrets. His most recent book, which we may talk about a little bit here, is the Life Handbook. But his primary focus is helping people discover their life's purpose, using this concept of the unique talent. So his goal in life is simple. It's to help to help people reach their infinite potential by helping you access and share what you do best. So, I'm excited to have Robert here. And Robert, I know that you've had just an amazing, amazing background. It's very difficult for people to even really get time with you at this point in your career. You're doing so much to give back. But I'm hoping we can really share some amazing concepts here. And maybe we could start by you just giving us a little background. What got you into the personal development arena? Like, how did you go this direction with your life?
Well, I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, which is a great place to grow up, but I grew up in the wrong part of town. And I grew up in a wonderful family, loving family, two brothers, wonderful mom and dad, but money was always a problem. There was always, what's the old saying, more month at the end of the money sort of thing. Yeah. And I saw them really struggle with money, and I struggled with money. I struggled to have money to go to college and so forth. And so it just finally hit me. There are people that have this figured out. There are people that don't struggle with money. There are people that are financially independent and free. And I said, I gotta figure out how to do this. So I started reading, all the classic books, Think and Grow Rich, and, Maxwell Maltz's Psycho-Cybernetics, and How to Win Friends and Influence People, and all that sort of stuff. But a friend of mine, a guy who's a mentor, recommended a guy by the name of Earl Nightingale and said, Robbie's got this message, The Strangest Secret, that I think you'd enjoy. Well, that message, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, changed my life, because it provided me with the framework I needed to build the life that I wanted to lead. And I became a fan of him. I set a goal to actually work for him at his company, which I accomplished. It took a long time, but I pulled it off. And then it even got to be so interesting that he used to do a monthly radio program called Insight. And when he passed away, I took over that Insight radio program, which is pretty astounding.
Wow.
And ended up getting to record a number of programs, and eventually even recorded a new version of The Secret. And I will say to anybody who's listening, I have a website. It's called just Stuberg.com, Stuberg.com. And there are all sorts of things on there that will follow up with what we're talking about, not the least of which is on the very main page, there's a free download called Discover Your Life's Purpose, which is an audio program and a little worksheet book that you can use to, start kind of like where I was, which is, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? What do I want to do with my life? And then what information do I need to make that real, to make that happen for me? So just as a starting intro, I don't know is that a
yeah,
good
no,
kind
it's interesting
question?
because a lot of people think they know where they're going, they're on a path, but they find maybe they're not happy, they're not getting the success they want. And so I love that they have the ability to do that, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit more. But I tell you, one of the things I've noticed, because you and I have known each other for a while, and you have some amazing abilities to sort of help people get back up a couple steps, determine where they need to go, and then go down the right path. And I really love, and I wanted to talk today a little bit more about the lifetime success process, because you've had the opportunity to basically work with, help, and develop programs with some of the greatest minds out there, like Tony Robbins, or basically Wayne Dyer, Barbara DeAngelis, Deepok Chopra. I mean, all these big names, and ultimately led to building your own programs. But it seems that it's all kind of come together with this total life, success process. So maybe you could give us a little bit of what is the lifetime success process, and why did you put that together?
That's a really great question, George. It's actually something I'm kind of proud of. I really love the lifetime success process. I created it when I decided I worked for Nightingale Conant for many years, and then I decided to go out on my own and create my own company. And I got the domain name success.com. But I knew that if I was going to create a company, it had to have a process. In other words, how is my company going to be any different than Nightingale Conant or Jim Rohn or Wayne Dyer? In other words, what was I going to do is going to be different. And I came up with this thing called the lifetime success process. And if your listeners are interested, again, if they go to the first page of my website, they can see an outline of that process. It's basically what I call 7 steps to life mastery, or the lifetime success and fulfillment process.
Well, and I'll go ahead and I'll put it in the link of this call as well. So for those of you listening, just check the link in the bio and the summary. We'll put a picture of that so that you can then click on that and go into Robert's different programs and things. But go ahead and walk us through that 7-step process.
Yeah. So here's where it came from. I really spent a lot of time thinking about everything I'd learned from everybody. And I realized that not all personal development information is created equally. There are a lot of people that they're promoting things that don't necessarily work. They're confusing people by promoting too much stuff. And I thought, I need to really simplify this and make it. When I wrote my first program, The 12 Life Secrets, I did that based on my background in music, where people that are in music will know there are 12 notes on the piano. Now, there are 88 keys, but there are only 12 different notes. And that's when I boiled it down to the 12 life secrets. Well, then when I started success.com, before I sold that out to Success Magazine, I decided, what if I boil it down to less? Maybe I can get it down to 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. So I came up with 7. And here they are real quick, just a simple overview. The first one is that thing I learned from Earl, the secret. And most people on this call will probably know what the secret is, or maybe they think they know what it is. Most people would say the secret is the law of attraction, or we become what we think about, or those sorts of things. I believe it's deeper than that. In fact, maybe this one I'll give them a little bit of background. Can't take time on every one, but the secret is the most interesting story in the world, which is basically us as individuals. And what's the starting point? Well, Earl Nightingale used to say we become what we think about. But I learned that that's not really true. In fact, I was given a speech one time and I was using that. And I'll never forget some kid in the audience, because it was at a high school, raised his hand, he said, Mr. Stuberg, and I could tell he was kind of a smart aleck. I was in trouble. And he said, Mr. Stuberg, I don't believe that's true. We become what we think about. And I was shocked. I said, well, why not? He said, well, Mr. Stuberg, if that were true, wouldn't teenage boys become girls?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the kids just roared. They just absolutely roared. And I realized at that moment that we don't really become what we think about. So I changed it, and they're more than welcome to listen to my message for free. It's available on the website for free, called The Secret. I changed it to your thoughts control your life. So you don't become what you think about, because you can't just think about anything. Your thoughts control your life. And more importantly, it's governed by these 3 things. And I call this the Get a Life formula. You're where you are and what you are based on these 3 things. Number 1, the GET stands for 3 things. G is for genes. There have been over 100 billion people on planet Earth, but no 2 of them have been alike. And so everybody has a unique set of genes and makeup that makes them unique and special and gives them something only they can give to the world. But they need to find out what it is. What's their purpose? Why are you here? So you got your genetics you started with, and you didn't choose those. Those were given to you. Those are a gift, so to speak. Number 2 is your environment. You're where you are and what you are because of the environment you've been a part of. Your parents, your grandparents, your friends. Sometimes the number 1 thing holding people back is they're simply in the wrong environment. Right. They're around people that are holding them back. As Zig Ziglar used to say, are you around people with stinking thinking? Because that's what you're going to end up with.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why coaching and what you and I do for a living, George, is so powerful, because if you get your mind focused on the right kind of ideas, and if you get yourself in the right environment, get around people that are successful, because that's how I changed my life.
Absolutely.
I just simply found people that were successful and got around them. I mean, imagine me at Night Go Conan. I'm around Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Deepok. I mean, there's no way that doesn't rub off on you, right? Yeah. So that's number two. You got genes, your genetic profile. 2, you got your environment, and then finally you got your thoughts. Okay, so this is Earl's right on about the thoughts, but you don't necessarily become your thoughts, but your thoughts are part of the magic formula. What are you
and that's
thinking
where it
about?
begins, right? I love that, because we have always heard that, but I love how you add that it's your, acknowledge it's your genetics, your environment, but then your thoughts, and they create and control your life. And that's great.
Absolutely. And I wrote a blog not too long ago on my website where I talked about miracles, and I gave people the miracle formula, which is imagination plus faith plus labor. In other words, if you want to change your life, you first have to get in your imagination what you want. 2, you have to have the belief that it's possible. And then 3, you got to do the work.
Right.
And I used, in that example, I used Michelangelo, and the first time I saw the David. I mean, that guy, you should get yourself to Europe and see the David and see what Michelangelo sculpted with just a hammer and chisel and raw tools. It is astounding. But you see, people say, well, Michelangelo was a genius. That's true. But we don't have the David because of his genius. We have the David because of his genius, right? Yeah. His faith. He believed it was possible. Because a lot of people said, oh, no, that's not possible. Right. You can't do a statue that's 17 foot and it's going to fall apart and blah, can't be done. He said, well, I think I can do it. And then he set out over years. It didn't take him like a month to do. He painstakingly created that thing. So that's, if you want to change your life, that's what's going to be required. You're going to have to believe. You're going to have to believe it's possible. Figure out who you are, or get with people that can help you figure out who you are. Develop the faith to believe in yourself, and then finally do the work. But you know what? If you're doing the right thing with your life, here's what you'll find: the work is enjoyable. I'm sure Michelangelo loved every day working on that. Just like when he did the Sistine Chapel and all the other things. If you're doing what you love to do, it's like the old saying goes, you'll never work another day in the rest of your life. Right.
Right. Well, and I know that you talk a lot about that related to the one of the next steps that's in the lifetime success process. So help me understand. So the secret is basically your thoughts control your life, and then that's the first step. What's the second step?
Okay, so then I'll quickly go through the other steps because we won't have time to hit them all. But the next step is what I call the question. And here's what's interesting. What controls your thoughts are the questions you ask. You see, most people don't think good things because they're asking bad questions like, why me? Why is it not working for me? Mm-hmm. Why am I not financially independent? Why is this person? Or again, they're just asking questions that are disempowering. So one of the first things you have to do, and I recommend you get with a coach to do this, is start examining the questions you're asking yourself, because that's what's leading to your thinking. So that's step 2, the question. And each of these, again, if you look on the website, there's a whole process around doing this. The next thing after the question is what I call the emotion. And what does that mean? Well, what do you really want in life? I've coached some really mega achievers over the years, and here's what I found. Everybody wants the same thing. And here's what they want. They want to change the way they feel. They want to do it in different ways. Some people want to feel successful. Some people want to feel significant. Some people want to feel love. You could pick any emotion you want, but what you're really after in life is an emotion. Maybe you want to feel freedom. But now here's the thing that messes people up. Most people pick an emotion that they want. I want to be happy. I want to be successful. I want to be whatever. And they convince themselves that I'm only going to get that when this happens. In other words, I'll be happy as soon as I get X amount of money in the bank. Well, guess what? That's a formula for wasting your life. Right. Because life is a process. It's a journey. You need to manage your emotions so you don't achieve to become happy. That's wrong. What you want to do is happily achieve. You see, if you ever get to a place where you think you've made it all, you're in trouble. None of us have made it all. I'm financially independent, but I'm still working every day for the next goal, for the next this, for the next that. Or in my case, I'm kind of the point in my life where I think of people like Jefferson and Washington and Franklin, people that founded our country. They were statesmen. When they got to be my age, they were giving back, right? Yeah. And so I think about that. So that's the emotion. What emotion are you seeking? And as you know, because you've been through this, there's a whole process we take people through to figure out what emotions they're after and also what emotions they're trying to avoid. Anger, jealousy, hatred, envy. And how do we figure out a formula so you're not experiencing those? So that's the emotion. Then we get to the next one, which is my favorite by far. I call it the talent.
Okay.
And what the talent is simply this. All of us are gifted to do one or more things incredibly well. In fact, every human being has a song to sing that only they can sing, and it's only going to be up to them to choose to do it. In other words, the world will be a richer place with more people figuring out what song they want to sing and having them sing it. That's what it's all about. And no two people are exactly alike. So you need to figure out your talent. The starting point, again, is listen to my free audio message and do the worksheet. And then if you want more information, have them fill out a contact form on the website to get more information. And you can talk with them, or we can get them more information. Whatever we need to do to help, we'll do it. After the talent, what's the next thing? I call it the goal, which is simply, what is it you really want? Because most people are chasing what they don't really want. And you can't get enough of what you don't really want. Yeah. In other words, have you ever had this experience? You think you want something in life and you get it. And after you get it, for a while you say, is this all there is?
Yeah, right.
I spent all this time and this effort and that's achieving to be happy. That's a loser's game. You can't win at that game. Yeah. You can only win when the goal you're going at is going to give you satisfaction, not just when you achieve it, but on the journey. Again, like Michelangelo, he enjoyed creating the David. I'm sure every day of his life afterwards, he would walk by and have this good feeling about what he had done. But then where was he walking to? He was walking over to the Sistine Chapel or someplace else to create his next work of art.
Yeah.
And you find great achievers at the end of their life working on their next work of art. That's
and some people set goals that really aren't the goals that are aligned with their unique talent, like you're talking about, or the emotions they're seeking. They think that this thing they want is what they want, but the goal really doesn't even align with what they want to do. And that's why it's such a job to try to get it, right?
Well, that's one of the things I learned at Nigel Conan. It's one of the dangers in personal development. Depending on who you listen to, people can sometimes convince you to make goals for yourself that don't fit. Yeah. Right? And there's just because somebody else is doing something doesn't mean that's what you ought to be doing. Yeah. Ultimately, what you're doing, if you look at what I do, you could say, well, I can see comparisons and connections and so forth, but that's because I'm a curator of personal development. I've studied the best people, but you'll notice I've picked out a handful of things that make the biggest difference for me. Yeah. So in some ways, even though I'm in the category of personal development, it's very unique. It's not, you won't get exactly the same thing anyplace else. And that's true for everybody. If somebody else wants to do personal development, the world is wide open for that. God, we need coaches. We need people we're getting in a world that's totally disconnected because we're losing track of these success principles. Right. And let me just go through the last two and then you kind of take the conversation wherever you want. The next principle then is the formula, which means this. There is a way to achieve whatever you want. Again, on Stuberg.com, if you're interested, you can get a free copy of the formula. You can just download it. Take a look at what it is. If you follow the steps of the formula, in fact, I know you have this, George. It's just a simple little poster you can print out and put on your wall. If you follow those steps, there is no way you cannot be successful. Those are the steps that everybody uses. And if you're following a formula and it doesn't align with those 5, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I'm going to say, are you sure? Are you really sure? Because everybody I've studied, and I've been somebody who's been able to look, under the hood and see how the engine runs, those are the 5 that I've found consistently. Those are the ideas. So I would encourage people to get those. And then the last one, I call the path. And the path, we certainly don't have enough time to discuss today, but the essence of it is this. You have to enjoy the journey of your life. In fact, if you look at the lifetime success process, most people will never see this, but let me tell you what it's based on. It's actually an outline of the letter S, which is for success, and also for my name, Stuberg. but the S makes a curve, a path. The outside of it is like a blue image. And here's why I made it. And then the steps are like yellow stepping stones. Well, here's where it came from. Most people will remember The Wizard of Oz, you know, the blue skies and the yellow brick road. One of the reason that image is so powerful to me is that what did Dorothy learn? She thought she was living this terrible life. She had to leave Kansas. She had to get to the you know, this magical place over the stars. But what did she learn at the end of that film? That there's no place like home.
Yeah.
And that all she really would have to do at any moment in time is click her heels together and she could get back home. And that's really where she wanted to be. Now, does that mean that her adventure wasn't worthwhile? Of course not. Of course not. But one of the reasons that she had a lot of stress in the adventure is she had forgotten that she could click her heels and she always had the power to go home. And where is home? It's your life today. It's this present moment. The most powerful moment in your life is right now.
Yeah, I tell you, I love that. That's a great metaphor, a great analogy that people can relate to as well. It's crazy that there is so many different things in the world of personal development. I know you've seen them all, you've heard them all. You've made it so simple. Some people, I think, overcomplicate it, and that's what I love about the lifetime success process. And so I have a question for you, but before I do, I just want to summarize for those that might have been listening and caught on these steps. So first is the secret, which is your thoughts control your life. The second would be the question, which is really what's shaping your thoughts. You know, how do we change our thoughts through the question? The third would be the emotions that you're seeking. Despite the fact that most people are seeking things, they always end up leading towards being an emotion, right? You want to feel better or whatever it is. And then the fourth step being the talent, your unique talent, what defines you. The fifth step you said was the goals that give you meaning, satisfaction. The sixth step for everyone is the formula. This is the formula that makes it all come together and works. And the seventh is the path that we're all on. And obviously everything about it in life is a path. So the question I have for you, Robert, maybe we just take a minute on this. What I've found, especially when sharing the different processes for personal development, is that most people come back to that key element that you really have around the core of stuff that you teach. And by the way, I appreciate you doing all this because I know that it's not even possible. Some people might think you have a lot of programs so that you can do a lot of coaching and things, but you're at the point in your life where you don't even take on clients. You don't even do coaching anymore. So I really appreciate your time with this. But I think most people find one of the most difficult steps is identifying that unique talent, identifying what they're excellent at, they're passionate about. It's like they just don't know where they need to be putting their time and energy. And everyone talks so much about find your passion, find your purpose. Maybe you could speak just a minute about that. How can people identify their unique talent? And, other than through the process, which makes sense of coaching and masterminding, we talk a lot about, how do they go about that? What do you recommend for them with that?
Well, let me answer it in two ways. My favorite way to start this is to have people. So if you're listening to this call, and you have a piece of paper handy to take some notes, I'd like you to do something for me. And I've done this with George. I've done it with all my clients. This is a starting point. I want you to draw for me a large circle, large as you can on a sheet of paper. Then inside that first circle, draw another circle a little smaller. Inside that circle, draw another circle a little smaller. And then finally, one circle in the center. So you've got 4 circles, looks like a target with a bullseye. Okay? What this represents is the 4 possible ways you can spend your life. Okay? I break it down. You can spend your life in 4 ways. The outer circle, label that with the word incompetence. Incompetence. Now, what does that mean? Incompetence is anything you don't do well. And here's the truth. There are way more things that all of us suck at than we do well.
Yeah, the crazy thing is we do them anyway. Like we spend all our time doing stuff we're horrible at. I definitely can attest to that.
Right. And so not only is it not going to get us anywhere, we're not going to make any money because in life, you're paid for what you do based on the demand for what you do, the difficulty in what you do, and how much it would cost to replace you. So if you're doing something you hate to do and you're not good at, and in school we're even taught, work on you're not good at these things, work on your weaknesses. Well, here's the truth. If you figure out what all your weaknesses are and you make a plan to work on those and improve them from the course of your life, at the end of your life, here's what you get. a collection of very strong weaknesses.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so true.
That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So you want to get out of that circle. That's not where you want to live. Next circle in is the circle of competence. And this is where most of the world makes a living. They get some skill or ability, whether they love it or not, and they do it for a living. Again, you're paid based on the demand for what you do, your ability to do what you do, and the difficulty of replacing you. So that's where they work in their circle of competence. What's the problem with that? Well, like I said, what if you don't enjoy it, and what if the opportunity is not good? And let's say you've got the goal of financial independence. You're stuck. You're not going anywhere.
Well, not only that, most people spend time doing something they're good at, but they don't like it. Like they hate it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I run into that a lot. So, again, it's that combination. So then the next one is, and these are probably over the years, all the clients that I've coached, for the most part, have been in the next circle, which I call the circle of excellence. So what's the circle of excellence? Well, it means that there's something that you're doing and you're really good at it, right? And you do it well enough. There's demand for it, and you make good money. For the most part, I've dealt with people that that do well. Okay, so but here's a question that I often will hear from them, and I started early on, and this is where all this material came from. People would say to me, Robert, I'm doing well. I've got enough money. I've got a nice family. I've got all these things, but I feel like something's missing. I just feel like I'm not maybe passionate about what I'm doing. My life doesn't feel complete. Something's missing. Well, here's what I would finally figure out to tell them. The bullseye on that target, I call it unique talent. Now that's just my quote unquote trademark way to describe what I'm going to describe. It's nothing special. Here's what unique talent is. Unique talent is your song to sing. It's what you're meant to do. It's in other words, something that you love to do, that so much that you do it for nothing. But yet because you love to do it and you do it so well, again, you become, like a Warren Buffett. Yeah. He doesn't go to work to make any money. In fact, if you listen to him, money has no utilitarian value. He still lives like he did when he was much younger.
Yeah.
He's going to give it all back. Why does he do what he do? Why does he do what he do? Why does he do what he does? He does what he does because he loves it, and it's his way to give back to the world. It's his game to play. And look at him. He plays it better than anybody, I think.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at it, you tell me an investor who's better than Buffett. And not only when I say better, not just a great investor, but total integrity. You can show me people that have a lot of money, but sometimes they stole it. Or other people, were hurt as a result of them getting the money. No. That's not, you don't want to play. You're not going to win in life by hurting somebody else. No, it's the unfailing boomerang. Earl Nightingale used to say this. Robert, whatever you throw out there is a boomerang. Guess what? It's going to come back and get you.
Yeah.
Because that's what a boomerang does. That's why you want to make sure whatever you're throwing out in life is what you want to come back for you.
Yeah.
So again, there's that. What I would do, George, is here's another thing we could do. That when I do seminars and worksheets, seminars and workshops and so forth, I have this little thing called the Lifetime Strategies Workbook that I take people through ideas. Yeah. And it has in there a lot of these ideas where people can fill in the blanks. They can figure it out for themselves. But I think that you're going to potentially do some group coaching calls, which I've agreed to do with you. In other words, if we can talk to multiple people and make it really worth all of our times, and also have a little bit of a mastermind alliance, like Napoleon Hill talked about, I'm willing to do that. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you could send this to them. You could send this to them because they could get an idea of the basis of where we're going to start and what we're going to go through in coaching. Especially for a lot of people, there's a worksheet in there. It's a one-pager, the most powerful thing I've ever developed, and it's how to become financially independent for people that are interested.
Yeah,
right?
I love that, because with unique talent, I think that a lot of individuals feel like there's no way for them to be able to be successful or make money or be prosperous, focused on their unique talent. But the bottom line is, you said it. We absolutely have the ability to be able to focus in on that. And sometimes it's hard to find it yourself. Sometimes you got to work with others. That's why, we do the daily mastermind. That's why we have mastermind groups and things like that. And I do appreciate the fact that you've been willing to. I think you mentioned it there a second ago, and many people will probably want to get a little bit more help, but you're not taking clients, you're not doing any additional trainings, and we have for everyone on the daily mastermind today, we have kind of really twisted Robert's arm a bit, and we put together the opportunity for us to down the road be part of just. We're actually only going to have a very, very small. I mean, we're talking about a dozen people that are going to be part of a mastermind that we're going to be doing, but that's not necessarily the topic of this episode. But I wanted to kind of bring that up because at the end of the day, you can form a mastermind, you can work with others in order to identify your unique talents, and at the end of the day, you've got to find a way to back up a couple steps from where you're at. You've got to identify what you want your life to be like, and you have to start working through a process. I love how you said it, Robert, because most people they're not following a process. They're not following a path. They're just kind of drifting. They're just going whatever direction they want to go without any specific intent. And one of the things I've learned from working with you, and this has been amazing, is that, once you seriously, consciously start to create your life and develop a process and accountability and whatever it is, whether it's masterminding or coaching or whether it's just learning and growing on your own, you're going to start to create something that's amazing. And so that's what I love about you and the many, 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 many years that we've been working together. I mean, when we first met, I had my financial education company was doing $200 million a year, and it was pretty expensive to be able to spend even 30 minutes with you. But over the years, we've grown together and learned and partnered on several things. And so a lot of what we do has been based on some of the teachings and trainings that you had. So I'll tell you what, I think maybe one of the best ways we could help people is you've offered graciously, especially since you don't do any of this coaching and training individually with people anymore, you've offered to sort of include a piece of the programs that you've normally had with this Discovering Your Life Purpose worksheet and audios for the Daily Mastermind audience here. You've mentioned earlier when we talked that if they went to your website, the Stuberg.com site, you have a program called Discovering Your Life Purpose, which is a worksheet and a group of audios that you kind of walk them through in order to make sure that they're going down the right path. And so is that the best place, do you think, for people to start, or maybe to go get some more information just to get going on the right path, something that you've provided for us?
Yeah. There's we got lots of free resources. I would do that first. The other thing that I would have them do is read through some of the blog posts on there, because I usually put up a blog post every month. I may not be doing it through this entire year because as you know, George, I'm taking a little bit of a sabbatical this year to do some other things. But just so people know, I mean, the real reason I'm doing this is, you and I have a special relationship. I met you when you were running, huge corporation. You brought me in to do some consulting, and that was just one of the best seminar businesses in the industry. And you and I became friends, and we've been, touch base through all these years and work together. And so the only reason that this is appealing to me is, I like to go out and do an occasional seminar if it's a good group, or even I'll volunteer for some groups, especially I love high schools and various things and so forth. But the thing I like about this is you are such a brilliant person at managing all the moving parts. So, again, if they have a specific question or whatnot, and they put a question in Stuberg.com, I can come to you and you can handle all that. Again, people will learn from me. My unique talent is not details per se. I mean, it might be details in terms of, writing out and writing books and recording programs and doing all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to organizing a bunch of stuff, I'm more of a high-end thinker. And the fun part for me is to get on, like you and I have just done today, and jam about life. I mean, it's like a jam session. Let's figure out what's holding you back in your life, and then let's work on that. That's what's fun.
Yeah, that's a tough thing for people to even have access to individuals that have enough experience. That's what I love about masterminding versus coaching is someone that has enough experience like yourself that's been around some of the best thought makers, have developed your own programs, and have a unique talent of being able to help people identify where they are, where they're going, and what they need to do. So I really appreciate your time today, Robert. I know it's been a while for us to kind of find a time finally to coordinate between our schedules and yours. You're out there boating a little too much that I can't get hold of you. But that's okay. That's the goal, right?
We got to get you down to Florida so we go out together, dude.
Absolutely.
You got to stop working so hard.
I know. Well, there's just so many things in so many days. I gotta get to that point like you are. So, listen, for those of you listening, I want to highly encourage you to go to Stuberg.com. Download the Discovering Your Life Purpose. I think it'll take you where you need to be. We also we're going to put in the show notes some links. If you have questions, we want to get some of your feedback. We want to get your questions answered. I'd be willing to answer your questions personally. So go to Stuberg.com. You can fill out a contact form at Stuberg.com, or you can go to the dailymastermind.com as well and send your questions in. We'll definitely have some amazing, really crazy announcements to come over the next month or so. And so with that said, Robert, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate everything that you've done and brought to the table, especially for helping people to kind of zero in on their life and follow this lifetime success process. Thank you for coming today.
Hey, you're very welcome. It's my privilege. It's always fun to spend time with you. I've loved our relationship over the years, and I think it's only going to get better. Again, when you find and work with that's the whole key to life. When you find the right people to work with and build those relationships, just watch how your life flowers and grows and all the wonderful things that happen. So, my friend, have yourself an awesome day, and we'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Look forward to talking with you soon. This has been the Daily Mastermind. Have an amazing day.